The judgment is premium now. The judgment on product, the judgment on decisions, and certainly the judgment on design. There are three things that are really hard to automate is innovation, strategy, and creativity.
Hi, I'm Jayson Manship, host of Authentic and Agentic, presented by TechPoint. Every week on this show, we break down what's happening in AI and what it means for how we work, lead, and live. Join me for a human-focused conversation that keeps you ahead of the curve. This is the Authentic and Agentic podcast on the IBJ Media Podcast Network. Hi friends, Jayson Manship here with the Authentic and Agentic podcast. Every week I like to start the show with a news block, stories that are happening in and around the world of AI. Today, man, I want to start this one off with a bang. Are you ready for this? Here's a number that stopped me in my tracks. Only 16% of Americans think AI will have a positive impact on society. 1 in 6. Meanwhile, 49% of Americans, basically half the country, say that they use chatbots daily. That's wild. So this data is from Pew Research. They just did an analysis on AI sentiment. And I find these numbers crazy. We're using a technology more than ever while telling pollsters we think it's bad for us. And that's an interesting puzzle that I'd like to unpack together. So let's dig into this. Big sample size. 5,000 people in survey. They have to have the sample size to be able to get the real data. So they published this. It's been picked up by numerous news sources. 40% of people that were surveyed say that AI will have a negative impact on society. 16% say positive, and the rest are mixed or unsure. 31% think that AI will affect them personally in a negative way, but usage is way up. It was 33% last year. It's 49% this year. ChatGPT is still the runaway leader. We probably could all predict that, although Claude, to me, is catching up. 63% say the technology is moving too fast, and 71% say that AI will make personal information less secure. I think that's probably true. Trust is shaky on this issue. I mean, I'm in this bucket. 67% doubt the government will regulate it effectively. And a majority of people distrust the tech companies to build it responsibly. But here's where it gets really interesting, okay? When you dig into the age brackets that responded to this survey, 18 to 29-year-olds use it the most, 66%, but it's almost all negative. 48% of those people think it's bad for society. The 30 to 49 crowd, millennials, 61% use it, 39% think it's negative. The 50 plus crowd are using it less and have less of a negative opinion of it. So the people who know those tools the best are the people who are most worried about it. Think about that for a second, right? That kind of gets rid of the whole, like, they don't understand it explanation. Like, people can be afraid of things they don't understand. These are people using it the most. And I think it's not just like a tech industry story where we're all like upset with the tech bros or government or whatever else. I think it's a how do we feel about the next decade of our life. The younger generations are thinking about what's next, right? They're thinking about the future. And when the public sours on something that they're simultaneously forced to use, you start to see resentment. And I don't know, forced to use is an unfair term probably, but I mean, I tell people you either use this stuff, you either get on the train or you get hit by the train because it's real. And that resentment, that bottled up frustration that the young crowd is feeling will turn into help shape politics and regulation and, what products survive in a lot of ways. I think this is really interesting, right? So a lot of people first use AI at work, where the boss is often more excited about it than the employee is. I mean, think about it like this. So the seatbelt in reverse, usually a technology, it earns trust and then it gets adopted. AI got adopted and it's still trying to earn the trust. The order is backwards. Put on your seatbelt. It will save you, right? Think about that for a second. I mean, it's kind of like the vending machine that you don't trust, but you keep using. You're hungry. It's right there. It works. You probably shouldn't eat it, but it's there. or fast food. It's convenient. It's everywhere. You can DoorDash stuff to your house instantly, but it's killing your bank account. I think there's a lot of different nuances to this conversation, but what I find interesting is that 9 out of 10 people in the class of 2026 worry that AI could replace entry-level jobs. 90% of people graduating in 2026, these are people that are on the bottom rung of the career ladder, right? And frankly, these are the people that are being automated first. That's the rung they're standing on, and they're worried. And I talk to folks all the time, leaders all the time across the state of Indiana, telling them these are the people we need to invest in the most. These are the people that can come in and have an immediate impact on our company. So I think they're nervous because what does my future look like? But I don't think it's just jobs. I think there's also environmental concerns. I think there's trust concerns. I think there's data privacy concerns. I think there's, consolidation of power concerns. I think there's regulation issues and concerns. I mean, there's a lot of things that we talk about a lot on this podcast, but I just find it super interesting that when the Pew Research folks interviewed a broad swath of Americans about this topic, there's a lot of people really worried. And I don't think it's ignorance. I think it's values. I think especially Gen Z, they're rejecting AI, but they're doing it with what they think at least is an informed stance. They're not confused. They use it and they dislike what it represents. That's what this research shows, right? As tools get more reliable and genuinely useful, sentiment can recover. We've seen it with the early internet back in the late 90s, right? People were worried about that. Nobody would put their credit card into a website. Now it's commonplace. I mean, think about online banking. My grandparents didn't use online banking forever because they were so worried someone was going to steal all their information, or even GPS. Like, how do we know this thing's going to get us there safely? And so I think that as it becomes more ubiquitous, it will turn sentiment some, but some of the core things that are worrying people are still going to exist. And that's honestly the reason for this show, guys. I want to encourage these types of conversations. And while Americans are arguing about whether they want this stuff, here's my next news piece. China is closing the gap. For the second story, the New York Times just put out a story called China Closing the AI Gap. And basically what they're saying is that for years, the U.S. has been way ahead of AI, right? Way ahead of China on AI. And that, I think if you talk to kind of economists, global economists, people that think about the big picture here, they'll tell you that the U.S. innovates and China copies. Now, this is where it gets interesting, right? Because when you look at the head-to-head quality benchmarks, the gap is shrinking. The latest metrics I saw, the New York Times reported on, is about 2.7 percentage points. It's almost a photo finish, guys, in terms of the quality benchmark between the frontier models. But here's the thing. The U.S. has spent 23 times more money on private AI investment than the Chinese have to just maintain a 2.7% percentage point lead in terms of how good the quality of their models are. So price is where China is winning. And I think that's what we saw in the industrial side of stuff too, right? When these models cost 4 to 10 times less to run and get you 97.3% of the way, if you're a business owner and you have to choose which model to pay for, right? It's got to be a determining factor. Just like if I were manufacturing a piece of a widget, a thing, and I could do it in the US or I could do it in China, and the cost in China is 80% cheaper, it's hard to be competitive. And so I think it's super interesting, folks, that we have these conversations. And what I find really interesting about this is that the federal government's trying to put stipulations and rules on companies like Anthropic, saying you guys shouldn't be letting foreign nationals have access to this tool. Well, they're building similar tools, and they're not far ahead. We are not far ahead. If you ask Dario, the CEO of Anthropic, he'll tell you maybe 6 months lead. It's a short-term lead. And part of the reason for that, there's two different strategies. So at the top of the top for the US, those models are closed. ChatGPT, which is OpenAI, XAI, which is Grok or SpaceX, Anthropic, Gemini, these are closed models, and you're renting access to the models via a company. You're paying them for the right to get tokens and to get into their tools. Many of the leading Chinese models are fully open. They're released for anybody. You can download them, you can modify them, you can run them for free, which means that it spreads faster and it can dive into cost-sensitive markets a lot quicker because you don't have to pay for the price. Right now, the big tech companies, the Silicon Valley oligarchs, as I call them, are racing for cheap prices to get you hooked, right? We've talked about this a lot. They want to become your operating system, and they want to make it so that you use their tool every time you log in to do anything AI related. But they're doing it for cheap now, and those prices are going to go up, just like you've seen with Netflix. China is bringing more open source models, more models that are available cheaper, that are almost as good. And here's the thing that I think we have to really pay attention to, right? Brand name versus generic medicine. Think about that for a second. So when the generic is good enough, a lot of the world just buys the generic. Or maybe take this a step further, the Toyota versus the luxury car. You don't always need that premium nameplate on your car if the other one does the job. This is an important distinction for us to consider. And as we think about the AI arms race, it's not about who has the single smartest model. It's about whose models actually get used. And I think that's real interesting, right? I mean, you've got security, you've got dependence on these models. Who's governing them? Who sets the norms? Who regulates them? Whew. Is the best model even the right scoreboard, guys? Or is it the most used model? What actually shapes the world? Is it, are we fighting here to have the strongest closed model that's controlled by a company, therefore the profits and the values of that model flow to the shareholders? Are we open sourcing this? Are we building trust through transparency? I think reasonable people can disagree on all of this. I don't think there's a perfect answer to this problem, but I want to pose the question. I think it's really important for us to be thinking about this. This is not some macroeconomics. So you have to understand how the whole world works economically. I think it's pretty simple. These are big global forces. We're talking about trillion-dollar questions, right? But most of us don't experience AI as a superpower race. We experience at our job, in our town. So let's do this for a second. Let's land the plane on this news segment with our third story. Here in Indiana, Governor Braun recently, end of April, rolled out the InAI initiative. So here's his bet. It's through the Indiana Economic Development Corp. And here's the lay of the land. So here in Indiana, he's trying to make Indiana, quote, human-centered around AI. And the goal here is to make Indiana the most AI-ready state in the nation. It's a big platitude for a governor to say out loud, but what does it mean? And I think the interesting part here is he has partnered up with CICP. Full disclosure, CICP is the parent company to TechPoint. TechPoint, or the parent organization, I don't know if it's a company, I think it's a nonprofit of some sort, but TechPoint is the presenting sponsor of this show. They didn't ask me to talk about this story. I'm just finding this news and wanted to share it with you. So CICP and the folks at TechPoint are involved in this conversation. And the goal is to reach 1 million Hoosiers to engage employees, to help level up our workforce. And they framed it about jobs and wages to make workers more productive and better paid, not to replace them. They're very deliberate and tactical in how they're doing this. If you go to the InAI website, cicpindiana.com/AI, it has all the details there, but they're doing roadshows, they're doing workshops, they're doing peer learning groups, they're doing an AI playbook, readiness assessments, and they're starting to help people get started on real projects. They had a Claude for Small Business workshop, and they've partnered with Google to reach more businesses teaching it. So I think here's why this is interesting is because it's here in India. I've spoken to thousands and thousands of people about AI over the last year and a half. And it really comes to life when you see it, not when you just read about it. So what the state of Indiana is attempting to do through this partnership is to meet businesses where they are. They're trying to give you practical applications over theory. And one of the things that Braun's talked about since he came into office is Main Street First. He's not just focused on big corporations. He's trying to help the little guys. I've heard north of 50% of our business in Indiana is small businesses, not big corporates, right? And so that's a decent place to start. And a lot of people don't know where to start. I talk to people every single day, and they're like, man, I don't even know where to go. I don't even know what to do. And so I was encouraged. A couple of weeks ago, we talked to the folks at IU, where they have rolled out an online Gen AI 101 class that's now available to all people for free as a benefit from the IU, from IU Indiana University. State of Indiana is doing something similar for business owners, for small business owners, trying to get people to level up. So, I mean, it's funny. I was looking back in history on this. So in the 1930s, the government helped to get power lines to every farm. They called it rural electrification. And the idea was to help every small business get plugged in. I mean, we just went through a broadband initiative. I know broadband's still rolling out across the country, or across the state, I mean, definitely across the country, but also across the state of Indiana, trying to get everybody plugged into high-speed internet. AI is right behind it. With high-speed internet comes AI. I just think this is a really interesting play. I mean, I spend a lot of time in politics, so I always kind of question the big press releases and what the goals here are. You know, and if you really put yourself in the shoes of a governor, executive of a state, it's hard. I mean, there are 8 zillion problems to solve. And so you do have to find the ones to lean into and the ones to put money behind and the ones to invest in. And you've heard me talking now for 30 some episodes. This is important. The state of Indiana cannot fall behind. If we fall behind, it will be generationally challenging to get caught back. So I'm encouraged by this. I think it's great that they're putting their, wallet where their policies are. I think they're getting the right people involved. I mean, I can speak personally for CICP and TechPoint. These are the best organizations in the state to be leading this issue. Very encouraged and excited by that. So we'll see, right? We'll see how it all plays out. But go to the website, go to the CICP website /AI. If you're a business owner and you're interested in trying to figure out how to connect your staff and your people, how to level up your team, or go check out IU's online class and help folks learn that way. Here's the one thing I think I want to drive. And it's interesting because when I created this podcast, Authentic and Agentic, right? The staying human in the world of AI, that's really been a core discussion I've heard from lots of people. It's all about maintaining human, being human. We're not replacing jobs, we're empowering jobs, right? There are some hard conversations coming up. Just in this one discussion, we've talked about China taking over, wild, right? What happens when we start outsourcing our AI models to China? We've talked about AI's employment workforce and how they can keep up. And probably most importantly, we've talked about the sentiment of AI across the board. Do humans want this? I don't know. I do. I'm an optimist. I'm in the 16% of people that say this is great and it's going to be awesome. And I'm here to figure it out. And I want to help people down that journey. But Americans are wary of this, even as they lean into it. The technology is getting cheaper and more abundant worldwide, whether we love it or not. And every state, like Indiana, is betting on how to bring it to people. So the interesting question, I don't think is it good or bad? I think you can have that conversation. You should be talking about it because it helps us build guardrails personally and upstream. But really, who gets a say in how it shows up in your job or your town or your life? How do we decide? Wild conversation. It's a wild time to be alive, folks. I'm super excited to have you here with me on the podcast today. I'm going to take a sponsor break and kick it over to TechPoint. This is the organization that makes this all happen. As I said, they're part of CICP, an awesome partner. They believed in me and in this concept from the beginning, and I'm just super grateful for them. So we're going to do a sponsor break from TechPoint, and then I'll come back to an introduction to our guest. I have Mike Reynolds from InnovateMap when we come back. AI is changing how work gets done, and organizations across Indiana are figuring out what comes next. TechPoint's Community Connect brings together employers, higher education leaders, and emerging talent to explore how AI is reshaping the workforce and creating new opportunities for innovation. Join us July 24th for conversations, working sessions, and networking focused on the future of work. Register at techpoint.org/communityconnect. Thank you again to TechPoint for sponsoring this podcast. It's been just a treat working with those folks. This next guest I actually met through TechPoint. I had asked I wanted to talk to somebody that really understood kind of the product design landscape. A few months ago, maybe a month or so ago, Claude Design came out, and I was curious about what does this do to the organizations that do strategic design, who you come to them with an idea and they help you carve it all up and get it correct, so that you're not rushing a bad product out the door or launching a solution in search of a problem. And Claude Design and other tools like it are making that process a little cleaner and a little easier from an AI perspective. And so I was just really curious to talk to somebody, and Sally Reasoner over at TechPoint said, you need to talk to Mike. Mike's the CEO of InnovateMap. This is the premier design company here in the state of Indiana. These guys have worked on all sorts of cool stuff. And I mean, it's funny because I've kind of duct taped and baling wired a dozen, 15, 25, I don't know, different ideas historically on all sorts of stuff, right? Every time I come up with an idea, I just figure it out. And when I sat down with Mike in this interview, I realized I've been doing this wrong. Their team just understands human psychology and process and, the history of designing products and thinking through how all of it integrates and gets used. And probably the most compelling part in this conversation for me that you'll hear was, the engineers can go build a thing, but there's got to be someone that well, how do we do it? How do we implement it? How do we use it? Is this the right thing, right? And AI is carving up all sorts of interesting nuances in those conversations. And so Mike is an awesome leader, great culture at InnovateMap. If you talk to anybody that's ever worked there, they'll tell you it's awesome. He is a fun conversation. We're going to do a short break to our other sponsor, Indiana Wesleyan University, and then we'll come back with my interview with Mike Reynolds. AI is transforming every industry, and Indiana Wesleyan University is preparing professionals to lead that change. IWU offers a Master of Science in AI and Data Analytics, a graduate certificate in AI Business Innovation, and an Applied AI Analytics concentration, all designed for working adults. Flexible, online, Christ-centered, and grounded in biblical ethics. Discover how IWU can help you find the way forward. Visit indwes.edu. Mike Reynolds, thank you for joining us on the Authentic and Agentic podcast. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here. This is great. Thank you.
I think it's going to be fun. So I got your info. I mean, we've known of each other, I think, for probably decades at this point. We've passed ships in the night. I don't think we've worked on a project directly together, but we've worked around the edges of one. I know I've worked with InnovateMap on some stuff in the past, but I got connected to you from my friend Sally Reasoner at TechPoint, whom I love dearly.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and she's awesome. And so I was talking to her about Claude Design in particular, and I was like, I want to talk to somebody that really understands product design and that sort of thing. And she said, have you talked to Mike over at InnovateMap? I said, I have not, but I feel like that's where I need to go. And so that's the impetus for this chat.
Wonderful.
You are the CEO there?
Yes.
And so I want to talk about the hands-on practical things. I want to talk about the leadership side of this stuff. I want to talk about all the things. But why don't you start by giving people who don't know you, don't know InnovateMap, tell us what we need to know to kind of understand your background in this space.
Yeah, wonderful. So a little bit on my background. I've been in the digital space, particularly product, for 30 years. And so I led product teams at a variety of SaaS companies, most notably in town, Aprimo.
Oh, yeah.
Acquired in 2011. Hung around there. But then in 2014, really saw a need market the product was rising. And rather than play the product role for yet another software company, I decided to play that role all the time and help anyone that needed help in that.
Be the product guy.
So my vision was that we would start literally a fractional product function. I didn't use the word fractional at the time, but it was really an extension of a team, someone just very similar how like a CMO had its agency counterparts, how CTO as its technology counterpart. So there was really no one there for it, whether it be an early stage founder or a CEO or a CPO, in terms of like, hey, I need to accelerate roadmap. I need to complement my team. Maybe I've got a product challenge that is, a little harder than what my internal team can handle. And we decided to do that as a service. And obviously there was some passion behind it. It's what I love to do. So doing that all day long for a variety of people that really needed help in it was really behind why we started this. We are in our 13th year, which is amazing for me to say.
It's awesome.
And a little bit of how we describe what we do now. Today, we describe ourselves as a product experience and go-to-market partner.
Okay.
And I'll unpack that a little bit.
Sure.
So everything's rooted in excellence in strategy and design. And I really like to highlight our strategy side. Everything's going to be design, on brand, and great. But really what makes our designs work is the strategy process behind it.
Okay.
So we really have two core solution sets. We do product experience, which is, as you would describe, we do product.
Yeah.
And so like I employ...
For those of us that don't know what that means, product means a lot of things,
yeah.
right? What does that mean more?
So love it. My definition, I've always said like if you think about any technology company, they really have two sides to the technology house. You've got the technology core team, the engineers.
The nerds.
The engineers. Yeah, they're the best, but they're worried.
I am one, I'm allowed to say that.
And then the product team. And I always describe the product team is worried about, are we building the right thing? And the technology team is worried about, are we building the thing right? And so
that's really good, actually.
Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah, so while the technology team, they're worried about things like, is it architected well, stable, integratable, of high quality? They're not worried about, is it marketable, usable, and valuable? That's the product team. So the product team and the product team members, they're worried about, am I building the right thing? Am I picking the right features, prioritizing the right roadmap? And really approaching the features in a way that's going to be valuable. Then you have its complement, which is the design team, which is the UX team, which is making sure that it's going to be usable. You're not going to click help. You're not going to go to training. It's intuitive. It adopts easy. And then the third part of that, which is core to InnovateMap as well, is the marketability of that product. So that would be core product marketing.
Okay.
So that's how I'm going to talk about this product. How am I going to position it, message it, package it, and then equip sales and marketing so that it resonates with the user. And that's a real up and coming thing. But anyway, that's really the second side of our house.
I'm blown away by all of that because
yeah.
It feels like there's process and science and like a lot behind that. I have been involved in many of products, as you just described, and they've all been just like duct tape baling wire and hoping for the best, right? It sounds like what you're bringing is a little bit
and I'll tell you,
maturity to the process.
The product marketing is hot, especially I would say this decade is, as you know, you think about people often in our world will describe, hey, I've got a sales problem or I've got a marketing challenge. A lot of times it isn't that. If you really like diagnosis, it's you're not really equipping sales and marketing to really talk about everything that the product and engineering team just built. And so if you can reduce that gap and really maximize what you just spent on building a product, it's an incredible breakthrough moment. So we do a lot of that. So that's our go-to-market team because we help with everything from where you should be aiming a go-to-market strategy, your sales and marketing dollars, and then equipping them with the right positioning, messaging, personas, and then the design side of that side of my business, which I'm happy to talk about today too, because it affects design, is we're activating those brand and product marketing decisions. So we do website design, presentation design, we do a lot of sales deck, a lot of pitch decks, a lot of marketing content that's product specific. We'll design all that. So
I love that. It goes from idea to execution, right?
Yep.
I mean, because anybody with an idea, it doesn't matter unless you can do something with it. And really that's what you're helping drive, right?
So ultimately, if you want to put us in a box, if it's strategy and design related as to helping this product resonate with users and resonate with buyers, that's what we're going to help you do.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I could ask a million questions about that
great.
Specifically, right? Because, I mean, I'm sure you've worked on all sorts of shapes and sizes, probably everything from startups with no money trying to figure it out to probably big companies trying to solve big problems.
Completely. So we've always kind of had strategically a balanced portfolio. Honestly, we keep our skills sharp by working on the startups. I think they're wanting to be more cutting edge. They're willing to experiment more. But we take what we learned there and we apply it to more later stage companies that maybe can't move as fast, but definitely have their own unique challenges. So I'd say everything from like seed stage startups, Series A, Series B, P-backed companies. Some of our practices actually extend to highly technical professional services. So we do a lot, AI professional services, cybersecurity, things that want to, differentiate their business. Not a lot of firms can get to the depth of differentiating them by their offerings or their technology, and that fits really nicely with our core value background.
Sure. So talk to me about the company. You're Indianapolis based. team size, what
perfect,
you do, what you work with, that sort of stuff.
So we are Indianapolis based. So we have a headquarters and field office model. Mm-hmm. So we opened up a field office in New York about 4.5 years ago.
Okay.
Happy to talk about that. But really everything is core of the business done out of our headquarters in Broad Ripple. And we've been in Broad Ripple the whole time.
Okay.
It started with being an advantage that we were centrally located. Most of our clients, as we started the business, were drivable. And so we could, hit a Fisher's client, a downtown client, or anything in between. Culturally fits us as well.
Yeah, Broad Ripple's a cool spot.
Yeah. And a team, a little over 20 people in size, kind of more of a premium approach to the business. Yep. Quality of team member, quality of outcome, quality of experience, very important to me. And that we've kind of found a sweet spot with our size we can deliver that and have the relationships that are very important to us.
Well, we'll dig into the AI stuff and the techie stuff, but let's talk just a moment about the human side of this, right? Because this podcast is about staying human in the world of AI.
Yeah.
And I ran a firm, a digital marketing firm. We were more on the technical side. Like that's all we did. We were the builders. We were the people that worked for marketing agencies, and we did the coding behind the scenes that they would sell to clients, right? That we were called in-source code because we were the coding team behind the marketing folks, right? And I grew that. I mean, we collectively, the team grew to 25 employees and millions of dollars a year in revenue. And I struggled in that moment because I was a technical founder and the sales and marketing guy and the face of the franchise, so to speak. And honestly, ended up shutting it down because I felt like clients wanted to hire me. They didn't want to hire my team, right? And so I struggled scaling. It sounds like you have kind of cracked that nut or found the right resources or people around you. How do you build a team that sustains where you can be the CEO and you can help run the company, but you're not practically doing all this stuff?
Yeah, it starts, two things jump to mind. Very clear values and expectations on what's important, and then a real rigor around the right excellence of people.
Okay.
Not only in skill, but in character as well.
Sure.
They had to, from day one, there's a certain, I'll go back to the first point, which is an incredible experience is a core strategy of ours, that's differentiating, that one of the nicest things a client ever said to us is once a week, our meeting with InnovateMap is the most enjoyable meeting I have all week.
That's
you can't say anything better to us. That's kind of validating that we're, because really when you're in a professional service, and by the way, I'm very bullish on relationships and authenticity. So that kind of comes back to just values and leadership, that I'm making that very crystal clear. These are not transactions.
Yep.
We are not a vendor. This is a partnership. We're going to
Which means you have to just not write the check. You have to be participatory.
Yeah. Be participate. You're rolling up your sleeves. And a lot of things with that as a core principle of the business. We've had to build the whole business model around that, even just like how we bill and interact. And, we're outcome-based pricing. We're not hourly rate. We're not going to measure our impact in effort. We're going to measure in outcomes.
Results. Yeah.
Results.
That's great.
Very happy with everything going on AI that we have that model, by the way. We made that leap 13 years ago.
Wow.
I was trying not to do it now, so I'm happy.
And everyone's trying to do it now because they're realizing I can't just bill you for my hours anymore.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, because then you're going to get challenged. I'm sure you did that faster. So how come I can't see those results? So very great. We figured that out. And by the way, that was just something we were committed to right from the onset. I've stayed very true to that. But even that's not easy to figure out. So anybody trying to transition right now, buckle up for a 3 to 5 year run of figuring that out. It's not just even how to price.
Well, let's dig into that a little bit.
Sure.
So you did it 13 years ago.
Yep.
So you're the wizard in the room that solved this problem long before anyone knew there was a problem. If I am an agency model, I am a service-based company, and I'm struggling with this, how should I be thinking about that?
Well, I will say this, because this might take a founder down a rat hole, but we started our design agency coming from the software world.
Okay.
So I got exposed to Agile Scrum.
Okay.
Where basically, engineering and software teams would make their commitments of what they could get done by knowing what they could accomplish and the parameters of what speed the team could accomplish. I immediately applied those to our service.
Okay.
So from day one, I've described ourselves as an agile agency. That doesn't always connect. I don't always use those words, but to someone from technology background would get it. And so, most of my team members that are in front of our client, these are seasoned product managers. So we are managing backlogs for clients.
Got it.
We're having prioritization conversations. We're having capacity capacity conversations, velocity conversations. And we know at this point, we've productized some of our offerings. So we have a pretty good idea how we can get those done.
Well, what that does for you, I mean, I've been in the Agile world for a long time, Scrum mastering across the board, right? It helps you understand what's valuable from a timing perspective. So from an effort challenge, right? If you're just an hour laborer and you're getting paid hourly to do a thing, you can extend the hours out based on how much time you have to do it. When it's, when you understand how Scrum works and you're expected to meet deadlines and get stuff done.
And I advise people that would be an interesting place to like have conversations. And you don't have to read books and become a Scrum Agile expert, but that inspired the way we do the service.
I love that.
And I would say it's really mostly impacted our internals, like how we size, scope, and quote. But if you think about the conversations that if someone's now moved from an hourly rate to a per month rate, whether it's a freelancer at $5K per month, $10K per month, the business at $15 or $20K per month, how you defend that spend and tell a client, what am I going to get for that value? That is the challenge you put on yourself then. And that with us, we've gotten really good at that over the years.
Well, that's a common problem that a lot of service companies do, right? They get on a $5,000 monthly retainer, whatever the number is. And one of two things happens. Either they're not working enough and not earning that money, or two, they're overworking and feel underpaid. And so finding that balance and figuring out how to get paid for performance is the solve.
So I will say the packaging of that model is probably the easier part. The internals of how you
where are you spending your time today? We got 5 clients. Where are you spending it?
So that's the stuff that I said took years. That's the stuff that took us years. But I do credit a lot of it came from I had seen back in the software delivery life cycle that inspired a lot of how we want to do this as a service. It also puts the focus on the right thing. I actually prefer it as experience. Like I want to know what something's going to cost. I do not want to get a bill at the end of the month that's more than I intended to spend. I do not want to measure this. I don't want to get change logged to death.
Which is a common tactic others have used to.
And what's helped us is a lot of people view that, especially in the early stage tech companies. I mean, they view us a lot of times like an employee. Like literally in our financial model, they've got us modeled as like, I've got this headcount, and InnovateMap. And they know the per month fee. Do you know what I mean? And then they treat us like a team member, which is great. We operate at a strategic level, so we'll align on the outcomes and they'll kind of trust us to get it done, just like a member of their C-suite or executive team.
It's great. Well, that's great. And you get the buy-in that way. It moves the needle, right? And that's, I love that. And so if you're listening, guys, that's some wisdom, right? I mean, that's a really good way to think about where the world's going. And you mentioned this earlier, but AI is impacting that because it's no longer time on target. It's effectiveness, efficiency, and what can I get done?
I'll tell you, I mean, it's the only way I'll buy. And I kind of beat up like my lawyer or my accountant about this a lot of times. So like, I would love to just pay a flat fee to my accountant for the year. Call them anytime. Don't audit me on that. And by the way, I'm cool with the spike in March because you got tax time. I'm cool with that. That's hey, we're going to bump up. But that predictability versus you're getting emails with hours and stuff. That's just not the experience I enjoy either.
I love that. Well, I love that you've brought this to your world of products and you've done a great job of explaining kind of what that means. So now understanding the world you're in, you've got 23 employees, you've got clients, you've long been results-based, not time-based. This technology comes along, which changes the entire world. And I still don't think most people in Indiana understand just how fast it's moving and just what it's going to do to us as a society. Talk to me let's maybe start at the leadership side and maybe we'll get into the practical side of that. So AI comes around. I mean, do you have like this, oh crap moment? Are you excited? Like, how are you feeling about all this?
Not oh crap. More like, oh boy, here we go again. Something I got to pay attention to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in tech. You choose tech.
You're ready.
You're up for the roller coaster.
That's right.
Okay. I mean, I remember, obviously going from installable client server based products. I've been doing this 30 years. I remember then, SaaS, cloud. It's just another tech trend. This one's different though. It's moving faster than any of the others. I can compare a lot of similarities to this as everything went cloud and SaaS based versus client server, but this is just moving faster. So things I saw happen in 3 years are happening in 9 months with AI. So one, a reaction was like, okay, next thing to stay on top of. The words AI is probably mentioned at least 150 times a day in my day-to-day.
I believe it.
And I'll say this, and I will go back to your original question, talking about leadership, is really affecting us from my view, in 3 different places. So I wear a different hat when I'm thinking about AI three different hats. The first one is internally. Okay. How is InnovateMap using it? How are we using it to get better at what we do? How are we using it for like our own internal operations and processes to get faster and more efficient at what we do, but also better? Because it is a tool that can not only accelerate, but can make improvements on outcomes. So there's AI internal. There's AI for our offerings. So we're additionally paying attention to the trends as how it's affecting UX, product marketing, product.
Sure.
What's the tools? You got Claude Design. How's that affecting my brand designers and my versus my UX designers and things like that? And the other one, which I'd encourage everybody to think about, the stance from your own internals. That probably affects everybody. For us, because we're in product, it affects us greatly. Happy to unpack that as well. And then the other one, because we serve a tech audience, it's rocking their world. So if you think about the people that would hire us, how it's affecting them is literally different based on every client in the industry and the software play they're in. So we've got clients that are maybe in denial and not even know what to do. Then we've got clients that went after it way too fast. And we're coming in as the cleanup crew. But it is affecting them. It's affecting a lot of our clients are venture backed. So it's affecting investor expectations on them. Hey, get leaner. I want to see it in your roadmap. So noise all over the place.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but that's kind of how I think about it, though.
Well, I like you started with the internal side of it, right? I've thought the same way, and I think the successful leaders that are addressing this correctly are doing that. And but people are you are seeing folks that are putting their head in the sand and hoping that they don't have to deal with it. And I tell people all the time, you either get on the train or you get hit by this one. There's no waiting for the next train, right? It's happening. But then there's also some folks that are overbuilding and overspending and just rushing in, right? I see a lot of people who hear AI and just are like, let's pick a bot and let's just do it. And so I was talking to a CEO who was like, we're all in on AI. And I said, what does that mean? He's like, I bought ChatGPT for everybody. I'm like, well, that's not a strategy. That's it's probably going to cause you some problems if you don't know what you're doing. And so talk to me maybe about how your firm thought about this. Because one of the things I like to hear from leaders is it's here. AI's happening. Internally, you mentioned that. How are you guys deciding what tools to use, how to think about it? I mean, you're probably dealing with humans that's similar to the companies you just described. Some are nervous. Some are worried about jobs. Some couldn't be more excited and think they have an Iron Man suit on now. Like there's all various capacities of how to handle this.
Well, lots of thoughts running through my head. So the first one is one of our core values is being innovative, which to us means we walk around.
It's in your name.
It is. And we walk around believing we carry a tremendous amount of curiosity. It is important to us to be cutting edge for our clients. So we like to stay ahead of these trends. So we're just inquisitive on what's up and coming.
Sure.
But also we kind of walk around believing there's always a better way. And so our curiosity and mentality, we're embracing it.
Okay.
So no one's afraid in InnovateMap. We're embracing it. My best advice, especially to anyone listening, is AI is not a top-down strategy.
Okay.
And I cannot tell you how proud I've been of my team and our culture that I'm not dictating a tool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to dictate, I'm not close enough to the workflows or the inefficiencies or the opportunities. I also have various practices, whether it be brand, product marketing, UX, product itself. I can't possibly know all that and dictate that. Yeah. So for me as a CEO leader, to me, I just had to create the space that said, it's okay. I'm blessed tinkering. One thing I'm really proud of that we do is, we do this one. So like that's a top-down leader. Say I value it. It's important. There are a lot of people in professional services that are putting the kibosh on this.
Yeah,
right? This is a threat.
Yeah.
We bill hours. Your efficiency is not our gain. Yeah. I don't want you getting this done faster. That's not how we are.
Sure.
Okay. So
I don't think that attitude survives this.
I don't think it survives this either. So I would say, one thing I've been proud of is, I created the space. I kind of shared stuff like that, which is like, hey, I want everybody experimenting. And by the way, if you've got something you want to try, I'll fund it. So I think about like giving the space, giving the funding to these things.
Resources to be successful. Yeah.
Two best practices I would say that have worked really well for InnovateMap. One, I do not believe, I created the space for it, but every Monday morning we have team time. We cover all team topics to kick off the week. And we instituted AI tool time or AI show and tell, where every week there's a placeholder for someone in the week to submit, hey, I've got something I want to share with the team.
That's fun.
We've been doing this probably 15 months, and there's been someone sharing something every single Monday.
Sure.
Every single Monday. And
have you seen this?
And have you seen this? Or I'm doing this, or this is something I tried. It failed, but I like this. I didn't like this. And so that's another cultural element of mine is I do not believe in hoarding the knowledge. Okay. So this is so this is shared learnings across the team. And this is how I'm getting like UX designers to routinely be experimenting, because you have to experiment to keep pace with everything.
Sure do.
I mean, it's literally a new tool every week, or a new feature in an existing tool.
Sure do.
Or people coming out and say this latest version took steps backwards. Now this, and so the team's experimenting, and then we're sharing. Occasionally, a client will ask us for I shouldn't say occasionally. They're always asking us for because it's very hard. This is the advantage of us doing this as a service. We get multiple at-bats.
That's important.
That's very important. So we're working with 40 clients a year.
Yep.
And we're walking into a client who is, one product, one vertical, one software.
All they know, all they think about.
All they know. It's really hard for them. It's always been hard for them to stay current on product and UX challenges. You intersect AI across that, it's almost insurmountable for many of them.
I talk to a lot of people who struggle to think outside the box, right? They're so used to using a piece of software or doing things a certain way that when you ask why, they're like, because that's how you do it. Like that's their answer. And I'm like, oh boy, AI changes a lot of that.
So,
right?
And if you think about it, so we're using AI tools on our, on our biz dev, on our marketing for sure. But in the design, all our practices, just even like self-productivity.
Yeah.
Like my best favorite AI tool is my inbox, the AI in my inbox organizer.
Trimming the
It's
fat.
unbelievable. I can come back from a week's vacation and I might literally have 1,200 emails, but it might serve up
six that actually matter.
6 that matter. Now the rest aren't gone, but they're categorized in a way that you don't sit down and spend 30 minutes cleaning up and sorting through noise.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I probably freed up at least 90 minutes in my day just from
Every day.
inbox. Just from my inbox AI tool.
Well, I love that approach of, as a leader, giving your team the space. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. I don't know all this. I'm not teaching everybody all this. They're boots on the ground. They are experiencing it every day in ways I don't. And so to give them the platform to do it. I've talked to a lot of different companies of all shapes and sizes. And I think that wisdom alone is something that most mid-sized companies can listen to.
Yeah.
Right. I've interviewed the leaders at Eli Lilly.
Yeah.
And they're really leaning in, but I mean, that's $1 trillion company.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's a little unfair when you've got 40 people on your AI team.
Yeah. And I do struggle with the model, and I'm not going to say it doesn't work, of finding a group or a person that is in charge of it.
Yeah.
I will tell you personally, some of the biggest gains in awesomeness for our clients or internal efficiencies have come from someone closest to the inefficiency.
Yeah.
That is just like.
But I would challenge that in your industry, especially working with tech companies, your team are all innovators. And many of the people in the tech companies you work with have at least innovation bones built in.
Yeah.
Right. When I talk to some manufacturing folks or some people who this is scary.
They probably need a center of excellence.
Right? And they need something.
That.
And so, I mean, one of the pieces of feedback that I've seen work the best in some of those places is get a champion, right? Get somebody and make it across department.
Yeah.
Because I love what you said about having knowledge, whatever it was, about having a person who knew everything, right? That's not fruitful. I think having a way to share the wealth. I love the idea. First, I've heard that story about having AI Mondays or whatever you called it.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because you sparked something, a best practice that is actually now 18 months ago.
Okay.
We did exactly what you just said. So a concept we have at InnovateMap, also probably inspired by Agile and Scrum's teams. So, you give somebody, I'm on the UX team at InnovateMap, and I'm also on 5 client teams.
Yep.
And when we have a particular business problem, we'll spin up pop-up teams.
Yep.
And we certainly spun up a pop-up team around AI. And we really staffed those based on skill and passion. So these are not assignments. It's kind of like chase the energy. You got energy around AI.
I love that.
I want you to self-form with the other 3 or 4 team members that have aptitude and energy around AI and steward the advancement of it on behalf of us. So we did form that. And honestly, their first 2 months was a lot of just education. Getting speakers to come to the whole team, a bunch of education. And that kicked off more energy.
Yep.
And then people were taking, and they just rolled. But we did spin up a subcommittee to steward and ambassador adoption I kind of forgot about that because that was January of last year, but
old news.
I got old news, yeah. But if you haven't done something like that, and it's really tough to make that assignment, I'm a big believer in team formation having a lot to do with aptitude and energy.
I love that. Follow the energy side of it. I have gone and done, CEOs have brought me in and just like, hey, help us understand what this even looks like. Because we know we need to do something, but we don't know what to do. And in those moments, there's usually 1, 2, 3, a handful of people that just are hungry, that energy you talk about, and they just want it. And I'm like, just give these people keys and let them drive. And then call me when they're stuck.
Yep.
Right? And what you see is that for people who aren't in the innovation field, who don't live and think like that, seeing it, touching it, feeling it is where it's like that spark moment. It feels so intimidating and scary until you watch something take over and do a task that you spend 90 minutes a day on.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Right. And it just changes the entire outlook. And I think that's triggering pretty quickly across Indiana. And a lot of the firms that I'm talking to, I don't deal as much on the tech side that you do, but in a lot of these firms, I mean, you mentioned 150 times a day the word AI are in your company. That's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
Because people are, and some of it's because they're scared. Hey, we have to do this. I don't even know what it means, but I have to do something. And some are innovating. Some of them are literally leaning in and saying, this is a real opportunity to take market share, to build a bigger business, to grow our company.
Yep.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild. So love what you're doing there. Love that you have 18 months, which is crazy timeline, really, to think about. Most people are like 3 weeks into ChatGPT at this point. So team uses it, roll it out for client stuff. Let me ask this question. This is maybe the harder question. As a leader who clearly has built a strong culture inside of your company, how do you deal with some of the fears or concerns with a tool like this, right? And it's not just about being replaced in terms of the job or whatever, but like the market's changing, right? Companies that may have hired an agency in the past or companies that may have outsourced something in the past are probably trying to do it themselves or other. So talk a little bit about, like, wrap that up a little bit for me to understand, A, how you think about it at the leader of your company, and then how does your team think about it?
Yeah, a lot there. I would say we felt very good for a long time about our product market fit.
Okay.
Right. We know the market. And I would say right now the market, I mentioned they're going through these things, but like, once again, and you always have to revisit this, we're having to think through that again. I mean, the majority of our core offerings are solid, but we are foolish if we are not paying attention to what are our clients. This is my product mentality. What enhancements do our clients want from our business? You know, like literally, like, what do you wish InnovateMap was expanding its offering set to provide help in? That's a little bit in flight right now, and it takes pattern recognition at bats. Like where one client comes to us with hey, we tried these things last year in AI. Now these are the challenges we're having. This is the kind of help we need, and you're kind of like, well, we know we can help with that. Yeah. And then we get asked to do it a second time. Now it's like, wow, we probably need to formalize that more.
We should turn this into a product.
We need to turn this into a product. Put it on the website that we do this stuff.
Sure.
So there's a lot of, I would say, evolution. Definitely not revolution. I mean, we're still focused. People are coming up for us for product UX and product marketing.
Yeah, makes total sense.
But within those domains, we are definitely evolving what help from InnovateMap looks like, and most importantly, what is wanted right now.
Yep.
Because there's definitely things that we did for 10 years that we are not getting asked to do anymore.
It makes total sense.
You know, especially like at the early stage. I'll give you one. We used to get anyone that wanted to socialize the vision of an idea or get feedback on an idea. You would get a product person, UX person. We'd do a prototype, a concept mock-up that gave you the visual and clickable tools to get feedback on that. And we haven't sold that in 18 months. Yeah, you can get a concept visualized and a clickable mock-up very fast. If you give that to dev and all of a sudden it's in product and it wasn't the right product, you have problems.
Yep.
If you're taking that and socializing with people and it's not what they wanted, these are things that we're helping with. Yep. So it may be like, hey, I want InnovateMap's help to better feed the data. Okay. Like the user workflows, the unmet needs, the product needs, like really the stuff that preceded the design, right? Still getting hired for that. There might be using a tool to accelerate the preliminary design. Sure. But then where are the gaps of where that wasn't valuable or that wasn't what the client wanted? That's still hard product work. Yeah. That has human intervention there, right?
Everybody's talking about AI, but very few are actually executing. If your team is still experimenting with Copilot, you're already behind. Axia Technology Partners turns Microsoft AI into real business outcomes and fast. Not prompts, not pilots. This is production-grade AI embedded into your workflows. As a Microsoft certified AI solutions provider, Axia TP delivers Microsoft E7, the full stack of security, identity, and AI, implemented, governed, and scaled. While others are testing ideas, Axia TP's clients are reducing costs, automating operations, and moving faster than their competitors. This isn't about trying AI, it's about operationalizing it, and now. If you're serious about results, not experiments, visit Axia Technology Partners and start executing. Visit www.axiatp.com. That's AXIATP.com to learn more.
Well, and I love what you said there about evolution too, because every little bit and piece of this is optimizations and then figuring out how to reduce your turn cycles or whatever comes in that, right, and serving the customer. And I think leaders that get it are saying the world's moving. What we did 18 months ago may not be what we do today, but 18 months from now will be different also. And so how are you preparing for that sort of stuff?
Yeah, and you talked about team. I didn't really touch on that. I have to say, if we were having team members not on board or resistant, I would just say that would be a challenge.
Okay.
That would be a challenge. And try to minimize that by obviously building a team that's open to change.
Sure.
But for the most part, that's been a strength of our team, thankfully.
You've intentionally attracted people who like change.
Yes.
So it certainly helps.
So that's fortunately not that. Now our clients are having that all over the place.
I bet.
Where they've got, it could be an engineer resisting it. It could be their UX designer. These are conversations we get in, which is my team is not wanting to learn this and I want to try this. There's changing in AI UX features. I didn't even touch on that. Like a feature that is AI, like it has a very different patterns than,
let's talk about
standard.
That. I'm curious to know what that even means.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of people are like, I'm going to slap a chat bot on my product, or I'm going to mirror a ChatGPT interface and allow someone. By the way, this we're going to have no interface is not going to happen. That's just not going to happen because it's so persona specific, right? Yeah, not every persona knows what they want out of your software.
That's
right. Packaged software. So they're basically buying the software because your product team knew better than they did how to solve this with text. So, but anyway, we've just seen a lot of bad things tried. And really what it starts with is you are seeing some new design patterns. I don't have mastery of them myself, but we've done a lot of webinars and lunch and learns just on like, hey, here are the new best practices of if you are going to fold in some new AI features, graceful ways. Definitely some of the past patterns are getting strained right now. If you think about old UXs that were straight up rows and grids and look like, honestly, visual reflections of the database tables, those are really challenged right now.
For sure.
So, it's just moving very fast. What's an intuitive best practice and what's a pattern I can quickly identify with? And I didn't even go on the brand and go to market side, but just even in product, it's changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm super curious to see how that stuff plays out. Here I showed you when you got here, a little our game store downstairs. We posted just a simple Facebook post, like standard basic thing we do 20 times a week, right? And we had Nano Banana generate an image for it, and it was just a little caricature image, and I got 200 negative comments and multiple one-star Google reviews about being a company that supports AI, right? And it was wild to me.
Yeah.
Because they were basically like, how dare you do this, right? If you're a company that supports the arts, which we do, we were literally labeled or voted the Arts Patrons of the Year last year, right? So we donate money, we help, we support for sure. And I just got blown up over that.
Wow.
And I was having a hard time processing. And I'm like, what did we do wrong here? I mean, it's a Facebook post. I'm not going to hire an artist.
Right.
To make a Facebook post 20 times a week.
Right.
Right. I did hire a creative director from the Heron School of Art who told Nano Banana and posted the piece, right?
There you go.
But man, people didn't care.
And reviewed it afterwards.
That was not, correct.
Yeah.
And that was not good enough. And so it was wild to see the kind of the toxicity in some markets, especially the creative community right now.
I would say our UX team, software design, definitely has more science than art in it.
Okay.
If we go to more of our website design, our brand design, our presentation design, I would say that's where we see a lot of that. But really, our team's just really good about it, seeing the opportunity of it. Like, let me give you a good example.
Please.
Someone gave me this analogy. They're like, 20 years ago, we would draw, like physically draw or paint the ideas. And then Adobe came out. What was Adobe? Did it end creativity? No, but it certainly accelerated it. It even amplified it in certain circumstances, right? Our team kind of has that attitude. It doesn't, it can accelerate output, but like what you input, that is still creativity. And then to know the wisdom, the judgment, that's a huge word I want to make sure we got across. The judgment is premium now.
Okay.
The judgment on product, the judgment on decisions, and certainly the judgment on design. So even though it spit that out, someone with an unbelievable creative eye would have probably given the commentary after you got that image and said, it's not meeting the brand, the image you want to do, it's not you, or this is what's off. That's still a value. So if you think about it like the superpowers that really can't be automated, and I've always said I've always heard, and I resonate with this because it's what we do, that there are three things that are really hard to automate is innovation, strategy, and creativity, which is what we do.
Yeah.
We're going to embrace where we can have things automated and can accelerate that. But if we can lean into like where those are still superpowers, that creates more space for us to do what is the most valuable piece and the superpower of
How do you think about these AI tools? I know Figma, I know Replit, I know Lovable. I know there's a bunch of these tools where you can throw a prompt at it, and it's similar to the Nano Banana where it creates an image, only this is creating like a fully functioning MVP of a product.
Yeah.
Is that something that helps you guys iterate faster? Is that something that just is so buggy and messy that it slows down your process? How do you think about
Yeah, I'll tell you, we I'll say this, very, very early stage companies, I would encourage them to get as far as they could with all those tools.
Yep.
And then when it hits a point where it's not making calls up, but even if I was starting a company, I'd probably start there as well.
Sure.
But like concept design, prototypes, preliminary designs of something, but it struggles with what to do after that.
Sure.
That's where the human intervention still comes in. And those tools are challenged at bigger, been around 10 years, more enterprise-based software companies, where it's like, I'll tell you the biggest thing that we get hired right now to do is so many people want to take an advantage of AI, and maybe overemphasizing it as a strategy. Like a quick quote, just take a tangent, and I heard this week and I loved was AI overhyped? It's not overhyped, but having it as the strategy is being overused. It's the hype's real.
That's real.
But it cannot be the strategy. Right. It should be a strategy, but there's definitely pitfalls and things you should go in eyes wide open on that. But one thing we hire a lot to do is if you want to use Claude Design or you want to use AI to design and you're going to plug in your current crappy user experience, it's just going to create more crap faster, right? And so a lot of things, like if you don't have your fundamentals in order, it's just going to expose them, which is disastrous in product. Right. If you have bad product and bad product principles, you don't know how to approach features, pick them the right way, you got a bad UX, and now this lets velocity of engineering build more of that faster. Right. You're going to have a challenge in a year from now.
Faster towards
you're going to have. I just saw a graph earlier this week. Like product releases are up, NPS and adoption are down. Because it's much more. So a lot of things we're getting hired for, like right now, is get my house in order so I can use the AI.
That makes sense.
So and that's on both sides of our house. So a lot of times it's like we have bad UX and we want to plug it in. Can you help us reinvent and reimagine our user experience? Codifies those decisions with a design system. Okay. So like we at least have the patterns all thought through, and we can plug that in. And now, if we're using it to create new features,
it's working from a solid
foundation. Now, there's still the human venture is still on the product side.
That's really smart, though. Yeah. If I'm a business leader, it's similar on the like tech side of AI, right? If your data sucks, your app's going to suck. That's just how it works. I mean, AI won't work off of bad data. You're just applying that at more of a product level. For these companies. I mean, like brand guides and that sort of stuff, like all the way down the funnel, or how to like.
So like on our go-to-market side, it's exactly the same thing. Is we're doing a lot of foundational work so that you can take advantage of the AI. So if you want to use AI to produce more marketing content, but you don't have brand guidelines or a brand that you believe in or one that scales, you got to get that in order first. And now you literally could plug in the brand guidelines and pump out
great stuff,
or at least a great starting point.
Starting point, and then your team is reviewing it, editing it, using the AI as a teammate. You'll hear me say that again. But even like on a lot of, so that's marketing, but even sales teams, there's a lot of AI right now, Clay and other tools that like can automate the intelligence of who you would go outbound and talk to.
Yep.
A lot of times it's a lot of people like spending time on LinkedIn with filters. Well, now you can have AI just roam the sea of your ICP, triggering events that say, hey, this just happened for someone this person that loves you just switched roles. Go call them.
Yep.
Like that intelligence is great, but like you need to know what to say to them. And so a lot of the product marketing foundation is like, do you know your personas? Do you know their pains? If you were to, intelligently outreach them, do you know what to say to them? Do you have so like we're doing a lot of like foundational work there too. So like sales teams can take advantage of
makes total sense.
AI for more their efficiency, more rapid outreach. But if your outreach, you're talking to someone and don't have personified who they are or what to say to them or what product to push in front of them for your business, it's just more bad.
So let me dig deeper here because I love this, by the way. This is a great chat. You're driving a lot of thoughts here. As we watch AI continue to evolve, I heard you say a bunch of different things there. And I would agree that AI is not at a place today where it's able to do things like personification effectively, that sort of stuff. But as you get more equipped at it and you get good at understanding models and treating it like a teammate, right? I feel like I, selfishly, could probably use Claude or ChatGPT 5.5 or something to really build some pretty strong components, just me and it back and forth, not knowing much about personification of people or anything, right? Because I just know the right questions to ask and how to push and how to drive. And it's not just like a dear thing, please give me 5 personas, right? You have to know how to use these bots and these tools to get to that point, right? And then if I had that, I could create some instruction sets or some MD files or whatever that start to like remember, right? These are the personas. So I do that sort of stuff now when I'm sending an email out for a company. It's like, these are the types of clients that how we would interact with them. So at some point, as AI gets smarter and smarter and smarter and friction gets lower and lower and lower, I do believe some of those things will become more AI-ified, right? Where there's less requirement of human components there. Are there any parts that are kind of short shelf lives that you think of, or are there any parts that are like sacred cows where it's like, AI is never going to touch this part of our business?
I'm wise enough not to say that.
Okay. That's great.
Because you just don't know.
That's a great point.
And the reason I say that is I have been surprised monthly.
At your weekly AI show.
What I would have said a year ago, I'm like, man, it's got to play there.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. But I kind of go back to, judgment and future. And I want to highlight the word future for a minute. Okay. So like right now, if I wanted to like get smarter about, hey, I'm gonna do some marketing campaigns to the various personas InnovateMap covers. I've got startups, I've got scale-ups and tech companies, and I've got professional services and non-tech businesses. So I feed those personas everything I know about them now, right? Well, guess what? I just said earlier in the call that their world's changing so fast, I don't know that I know their world right now. Like what is their pain today is different than it was 6 months ago. The engine doesn't have that data.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? And so there's still a constant pioneering, if you will, of being on the forefront of the human interaction.
Sure.
To still have the wisdom of what to give the input to the AI as well as the judgment to what make of the output.
I love that.
And I think that's value.
I think that's the balance we're all fighting as humans, right? I mean, as these
It was funny. I talked to Jeb Banner last week. I know you know
Jeb's
Jeb.
great.
He's an awesome human being. And he Josh was dying laughing over in the corner because Jeb was talking about like AI consciousness and all these things that are just like
I listened to it.
Little outside the box for me personally. But I think there is a lot to think about as the world moves further along, right? I mean, we do run the risk of outsourcing agency. We do run the risk of like letting go of things, right? And we also run the risk of like the haves and have-nots, the people who are, I literally try to create a binary metaphor, get on the train or get hit by the train, because I don't think you like ease into this. I think you either get it and want it or it just blows past.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, totally agree. One thing I would just say, just from a business perspective, I'm very bullish on professional services right now.
Okay.
And because of one, the pace and how the multiple at bats can make you very quickly be.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, just the expertise.
That's such a good point, because if I'm a marketing manager in my little company, all I know is that.
Yeah, all you know is that. So if you're doing professional service, just your at bats will very quickly make you an expert. The next thing, the human relationship is just
totally agree with that.
It's differentiating, and like we at InnovateMap are all in on the relationship. Mm-hmm. You know, even just from like finding and meeting our next client that we're going to help. You know, the AI has made some like traditional like cold outbound dead. Like people don't even trust it was created by a human. And just for the record, I just mentioned earlier, I wouldn't see the email because I've got a filter on
100%.
it. Yeah. So people are doing business with people who are going to show up, they trust, and they feel like there's a human interaction and it's not a robot or automated.
Yep.
So I'm big on not only just the best practices, but also the experience of professional services. And then I'd even say this, if you're like an investor or something, it's a smarter business model now. Because it used to be, you wanted to double your revenue, you had to double your team.
Yeah.
Because only 3 hours is the only way to do it. And now this creates where an efficiency internally to professional services is their gain.
As long as they understand that they're charging based on results and not charging based on.
Correct.
It was interesting. I was talking to a CFO of a large manufacturing company a few weeks ago. I was talking to a group of CFOs with the Indiana Chamber, and one of them said, we spent $25,000 or $35,000 on this project from a consultant. And he's like, honestly, now that I've seen what AI can do, probably took the guy like 2 hours to do the whole thing. He's like, and so when I think about that hourly rate, it makes me want to puke.
Yep.
But when I think about the fact that to me it was worth $25,000 to get the results and I didn't know how to do it myself, like, that's the market rate. That's what I would have paid for it. And I was happy with the result, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, it is a little bit of a mind shift when you're the buyer, right? Because it's like you want the most for your money and you don't want to overpay people.
I've been said, if anyone's looking, I'm having a conversation with a potential client and they're like, why would I hire you when I could do this myself? Huh? I'm in the wrong conversation.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If that, then go.
Yeah.
Right? But
100%.
if you're valuing, I don't want to learn this. I don't know this. I don't have the time. I trust your expertise. I'm in the right conversation.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And at the end of the day, they need that expertise, I think, is the big one, right?
Yeah. And we see this. We've got some really innovative clients, honestly, clients that share kind of values that InnovateMap does, and they're trying and doing great things, and we're swapping stories. And I've got clients that are just like, this is why I have an expert. I'm not going to have, I as a founder, I as a CEO, I'm not going to keep pace with the
I love what
design.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
I'm going to trust you guys are going to give me better work because you use it as a teammate, and we do. This is not, it isn't the work we deliver, but we'd be foolish not to leverage it as a teammate in the room to produce the best outcome for a client.
That's exactly right. Well, I love what you said there too, because it's, I have thought long about personal services businesses and the value of relationships. I think that's only going to get stronger and stronger as we have more and more tech interface on our glasses in our lives, right? But I hadn't given as much thought to the idea of more at-bats, because if you are a professional services company doing this work, your 40 clients, you're touching something different every single day.
It's wowing me. And so many things in what I've done through the years have been a delighter, like a surprise. Like I didn't see that coming. I mean, I tried to see a lot coming, but I didn't see that coming. And this is kind of a new aha for me within the last 4 to 5 months, where like we're having a potential person needs our help. They're like, hey, we went all in on AI. We created a bunch of mess, and now we need help.
Yep.
And I'm like, you're the 5th person that did that, and we've helped. I'm like, I've got a process around that at this point.
Yeah.
I can share stories.
And they don't.
And I'm like, we know what to do. Wow.
Well, the other thing I thought about there too was in a lot of these companies, when I think of like a chief marketing officer or a team, a small team, almost every company you talk to feels understaffed or overwhelmed, right? In life, in jobs and business, because the whole premise of business is to push further and go faster. And, as humans, if I asked any of my staff members, like, what should we do to solve this problem? The answer is always add more capacity, add more people, right? AI gives us that. The problem is I don't, as someone in that role, I don't just get Fridays off to go learn AI. Right? I have to keep doing my job. And so when I talk to so many different people at all different shapes and sizes, director level to VP level, the problem is like, where am I going to fit this in?
Yeah.
I need to do it. I know it's coming, but where do I do it? And so I love the idea of having someone who's done it for 40 other people.
Yeah.
Right? That you can, so there are situations, I'm sure, where you have clients like you just mentioned that are like, I don't need to learn it. I just need to know that we're using it as a company and you're my trusted expert.
And trust you. Yeah. And I would say, like, just to touch on that, if you are creating the space for your team is big. We do I think we've done like once a month, Friday morning hackathons. And the team sharing internal things they want to do. And then they're showing it off on Monday. Like I shared, we had the show and tell. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody business can do that. And you can only expect so much of your team to not only do their job, but stay current on this and then also be masters of best practices.
Right. And do their job.
And do their job. It's a challenge. And that's why I say it's I'd encourage people, and this isn't just self-serving, I would because I do the same thing for my own business. Trust expertise where it's not your core competency or your passion. Trust their in whatever it might be, legal, finance, product, dev, like AI counseling, coaching, anything. Like I'm pretty bullish about, seeking the expertise and the help.
Yeah.
You can focus on your core.
I'm thinking back to like my progression in owning a vehicle, right? Back when I was poor, you change your own oil because you don't have the ability to do it yourself. And then you get to a place where it's like, I'm going to pay somebody to change my oil because my time is more valuable, right? And then you get to a place where it's like, I'm going to buy a car that doesn't need oil because I don't want to deal with this ever. And so I do think that figuring out where to let go of stuff and like what you can do well and not do well. And you can't be an expert on everything. And that, frankly, I think that's a little intimidating in today's world because a lot of the leaders I talk to struggle with not knowing all the things.
Yeah, fair.
And the world's moving so fast that we just feel like we're constantly drowning. I shared this on a podcast a few weeks ago. I just did a private one, just me and the computer. And I've felt more stress probably. It's eased up quite a bit since that podcast because I've been thoughtful and prayerful about it. But prior to that, I've been building so much with AI lately that I felt more overwhelmed than I ever have. Yeah. Because I have 15 projects running all at once. And I feel like I'm context switching every second of the day from one to the next to the next. I have a computer system with 4 monitors and I have 4 or 5 different bots and agents doing stuff at the same time. And I just feel like all day long, I'm just like flight control or mission control. And I had not experienced that before in my career. Usually when I would give a directive to a team, take them a week to come back to me and we'd sit down and talk about it and have a meeting about it and all that. Now it's like, it's like hard to manage. Yeah. And so I think there's a lot of lessons along the way here around how do we do this well. I've loved listening to you talk because there's a lot of wisdom.
Appreciate that.
In your approach. Like you're very clearly innovation focused. And I do think you have a little bit of a cheat code built into the fact that your company is an innovation company. You have people that are ready for change. Yep. You have people that are self-learners that are driving in, doing all that stuff, right? And our clients are asking us for all that. That's what I love. Because we have tech companies that are pushing the envelope. And, we have non-tech companies too, but they're definitely, I would agree, cheat code's a great way to describe it. We've had this been facing us for months. Yeah. Yeah, more than months. So yeah, it's good. I would kind of, just on what you were it sparked a thought in my mind, which is, leaders that are worried about their job or worried about their team, or if team members worried about that, you don't have to outsource it. You could hire expertise simply for an accelerator and educator. Okay. You know what I mean? So that's something like, good thought. There are service providers, us being one of them, that are happy with a teach to fish model. Yeah.
Give us something that you're struggling to accomplish. We'll go knock it out because we've been there, done that, and we'll do it alongside your team and show them the way. And maybe they're better off 6 months later because of the engagement, and take the training wheels off, let them run.
That's great.
You know what I mean? Where we're not competition.
Yeah.
We're, complementary.
Player coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, get them out. That was always how I ran my marketing agencies. Was I don't want to do this for you forever,
Yes.
right? I want to help you do it, so I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But it does come with I've done it 40 times before, and so I know how to do it. But let me teach you how, right? And so that's just what a fun experience for sure. What do people need to know about you, about InnovateMap, about your services, your offerings? Like, this is an opportunity for you to just kind of tell the world. I think you covered a lot of your services.
I did.
already.
Yeah, I feel grateful. I feel like I covered that. I would say if you've got products or offerings for your business, want to make sure that, they're adopting, people want to use it. That's something we help with. And then if you want to just tell your story better in the market, and equip your sales and marketing team with the foundation and all your brand and product marketing, so you are positioned well, talking about yourselves well. These are things that I help with, and we love a conversation. I think I'd love to lead people with, it is a partnership with us. These are not transactions. We are not a vendor. I said that earlier, but so it all for us, it starts with a conversation. And then if we're if you want our help and believe we can help, let's go.
I love it.
And if not, all good.
Yeah, that's the right way to be. I mean, and I liked what you said earlier where, if you're walking into the meeting and saying, well, why don't I just do that myself? Then go do it yourself. It's fine, right? I mean, your expertise is the value and the judgment and the at-bats, as you use the term. Let me ask the final question. Mm-hmm. This is the one that I try to ask everybody. Sometimes I forget, and Josh doesn't remind me in real time until after it's over. And then I'm like, crap, I forgot to ask. As you think about the world of AI, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of the things we're looking at are, in some ways, existential crises, right? Like, the world's changing so fast. I mean, there are arguments to be made that the robots might kill us all someday.
Yeah.
There's arguments to be made about national security issues, about models leaking into the wrong hands. There's issues with 50% of the job force may not exist, right? I mean, like, you said something very wise earlier. You said, I can't predict. I don't know. I'm not foolish enough to chase that, right? Which is great. But is there a thing, Mike, that keeps you up at night? Is there a part of what you're seeing where you're like, I don't know how we're going to solve that problem?
Yeah, I love the question. I would say that 95% of what I've answered so far has been with a professional lens.
Okay.
Not a personal one.
Yeah.
So personally is probably where I go with that.
Okay.
I'm big on relationships.
Yep.
Authenticity. Love the name of the podcast, by the way.
Thanks.
And I just look at those. I share very similar parent fears, human relationship fears,
companionship,
all that stuff. Like what truly makes one happy, companionship, and having really the humanity kind of erased or someone turned into AI for that. It doesn't fulfill all that.
For sure.
And I've had blessings in my life that whether it be marriage, fatherhood, friendship, faith, that I just really, really don't expect it to replace. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But for people that maybe do, I worry. I mean,
loneliness is an epidemic. Mental health is a challenge. And so it's wild. I mean, so many people are turning to these bots and things as companions or therapists or marriage counselors or ways to like. Yeah,
I would just say, manage your screen time, get out.
And your kids' screen time. That's
your kids' screen time. That's the hardest part. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I did. I've just running a company. I have a lot of self-discipline, or like to think I do, in certain areas. That's when I really try intentionally to be good about. The screen time. I'm on the screen a lot at work. And,
for sure.
But just personally, whether it's like hour before your bed, not at all, that kind of stuff. So you sleep better, stuff like that. But I worry about the companionship and the humanity and. Or original thought too. Mm-hmm. I got to go back to being a creative. We still need innovation, wisdom, strategy, creativity.
Yep.
Those aren't going away. Execution of that might have some automated opportunity, but that stuff's not going away.
Yeah, the folks
as far as I know now. Yeah,
the folks at the Notre Dame Institute for Ethics and the Common Good. Is that what it's called? Ethics and the Common Good? I think so. Yeah. They were talking about how using your wet brain, they called it, right? Like keeping focused on using your brain, because if you don't, it depletes. I mean, the analogy they gave was, this is the analogy I use, is how many 10-digit phone numbers do you still have memorized, right? And most of us have maybe 3, probably our childhood home, which
doesn't even that number doesn't even exist.
Yeah,
for me.
The brain is a muscle and needs exercise. I mean, like it needs trained, right? And I would agree. Like, I mean, I think about just spell check.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm just spell check, phone number memories. But you've got to be challenging your brain in a different way. Do some puzzles, get an interesting conversation.
Play some board
preferably
games.
In person.
Yeah. That's the part I love, right? And so we started this company.
Board games, great.
Well, we started the company. It's funny because I run an AI podcast. We talk about the hard problems facing the world on automation and innovation, all that. I'm a vibe coder / real coder, right, historically. And so I have 15 projects going at a time. But we started a company that was all about sitting across a table with cardboard and rolling dice. And it's amazing how impactful that is. And that's why I'm bullish on relationships also, right? I mean, we just need it as human beings.
And that's the stuff that fills your cup.
It sure does.
So I love what I got so energized coming in here. Played Magic. I love that played.
Nerd alert.
I'm a big sports fan too.
Yeah.
And so for me,
live sports, concerts,
there's very little things I long for other than experiences with those people I love or find interesting or enjoy. Watching sports you start to gravitate, whether it's playing a Magic game across the table by someone or talking to them in an interesting conversation at a bar or enjoying a game or music. Love music.
Yep.
Go find that stuff.
Yeah, that's real. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
This was a delight.
It sure
pleasure.
Was. It sure
really
was.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Mike. Cheers.
Thanks.
I know I say this every time, but what an awesome interview with Mike. What a blessing to run this show and have chats like this. I've just honestly loved every single conversation I've had with all the guests throughout the history of the show, and Mike is no exception to that. He brings wisdom, he brings energy, and you can just feel it when you're around him. It was funny, I was giving him a tour when we first came to the shop here. My recording studio is upstairs of my board game store in downtown Noblesville, and he came here to do the interview in our podcast studio, and I walked him around, and we quickly bonded because he's a comic book and former Magic the Gathering guy. Which is nerd alert for those of you out there that are into that. And it's funny, since I had this interview with Mike just last week, I saw a story about how Magic the Gathering and board game stuff is becoming the new like poker night or bowling night, where folks are getting together and it's like hitting the mainstream, where you don't have to be that super nerd that I and Mike were in high school and college, but you can... It's just kind of more mainstream now, right? Because it's cool. Superheroes are cool. Stranger Things is cool. Dungeons and Dragons is cool. And so that was kind of fun, just bonding over that topic in particular. But Mike gave you a couple call outs there at the end. Go check them out. Go reach out to them on LinkedIn. Reach out to their group if you want to try to talk through an idea you might have. Or if you've gone too fast or too slow into AI, it sounds like they can help solve that problem too. Mike, thank you so much again for joining me on the podcast. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you next week.